There is a place hidden deep within the heart of the forest, far beyond where any map can lead. The trees there grow taller than the eye can follow, their branches twisted and wise, as if they have stood since the beginning of time. Soft moss carpets the ground, and delicate flowers glow faintly beneath the moonlight. It is a place of stillness, where the air hums gently with magic. But among all the wonders of this forest, the most curious of them all is the bed. Nestled in a clearing bathed in silver light, the bed sits quietly, waiting. Its frame seems to have grown directly from the roots beneath it, the posts curling upward like the arms of an ancient tree. Vines of soft green wrap around the canopy, sprouting pale blossoms that shimmer faintly in the dark. The bed is dressed in the deepest purple blankets, thick and velvety, and an abundance of pillows lay in a cloud-like heap, soft enough to sink into with the lightest touch. No one knows how the bed came to be there, but the villagers who live near the forest speak of it in hushed tones. They say the bed appears only to those who need it most, wanderers who have lost their way or carry burdens too heavy to bear alone. These travelers do not seek out the bed. It is the forest that leads them to it. One such traveler was a woman named Elenora. Elenora had been walking for many days, though she could not recall exactly how long she had been on the road. Her journey had begun with purpose, but over time her goal had faded, and she found herself simply moving forward, unable to stop. Each night she made camp beneath the stars, but no matter how far she traveled, rest eluded her. The forest she wandered through seemed endless, the paths winding and unfamiliar. She felt no fear. The woods were peaceful, but her heart felt heavy, as if carrying a weight she could not explain. On the night of the full moon, as she walked beneath the soft silver glow, she noticed something unusual. Small flickering lights dancing ahead of her. At first she thought they were fireflies, but as she followed she realized the lights were leading her, drifting just far enough to keep her moving forward. The trees began to thin, and soon Elenora stepped into a clearing bathed in moonlight. There, at its center, stood the bed. Elenora stopped, uncertain. It seemed impossible. A bed standing alone in the middle of the forest, yet it looked so warm, so inviting that she felt herself drawn toward it. As she approached, the soft glow of the lights grew brighter, circling the bed like a ring of fireflies. The curtains hanging from the canopy fluttered gently, though no wind stirred. The air around the bed felt warmer, and Elenora could hear the faint rustling of the trees, as if they were whispering softly to one another. She reached out, her fingertips brushing against the smooth, worn wood of the bed frame. It felt alive beneath her touch, as though the roots of the forest had shaped it. Without thinking, Elenora pulled back the blankets and slipped beneath them. The bed cradled her gently, the pillows soft against her skin. As she lay down, the lights around the clearing drifted lazily through the air, circling above her like stars. The forest seemed to breathe with her, matching the rise and fall of her chest. For the first time in what felt like years, Elenora felt no need to move forward. As her eyes drifted closed, dreams came to her, dreams unlike any she had known before. In them, the forest was alive. The trees stretched and swayed like dancers, and the flowers opened and closed in rhythm with the stars. Streams of light wove through the air, guiding her toward hidden places she had never seen. She saw golden fields kissed by the early morning sun, crystal clear lakes that mirrored the sky, and great mountain tops that touched the clouds. In her dreams, she felt weightless, free from the burdens she had carried for so long. When Elenora finally woke, the first light of dawn was spilling over the treetops. The clearing was quiet once more, the firefly lights gone. But as she sat up and stretched beneath the canopy, she felt lighter, as if something she hadn't known she was carrying had been lifted. Elenora lingered for a moment, running her hands over the soft fabric of the blankets. She knew she could stay, but she also knew that the forest had given her what she needed. It was time to continue her journey. As she stepped away from the clearing, she glanced back at the bed one last time. It sat quietly beneath the trees, glowing faintly in the soft morning light. Though she would never return to the bed, she carried the peace of the enchanted forest with her, wrapped around her like a cloak. And she knew that for those who wandered too far or had grown too weary, the bed in the enchanted forest would always be waiting, a quiet refuge beneath the stars. Seasons passed, but the bed in the enchanted forest remained as it always had, untouched by time, cradled by the ancient trees. The firefly lights continued their gentle dance through the clearing, and the moon still cast its silver glow upon the soft canopy. But the forest had begun to stir. Elenora had long since left the forest, but she often thought of the bed. On quiet nights, she would gaze at the stars and wonder if anyone else had found their way to it. And though her heart was lighter, there were moments when a soft ache would return, as if a piece of her remained in the clearing. One evening, as Elenora sat by her window, she saw something strange, tiny glowing lights drifting along the edge of the woods near her village. At first, she thought her mind was playing tricks, but as she followed them from her window, they began to multiply, circling in slow, graceful patterns. She knew the forest was calling her back. That night, Elenora packed a small bag and stepped quietly into the woods. The fireflies led her just as they had before, weaving between mossy stones and ancient trees. But this time, when she entered the clearing, something had changed. The bed was still there, but she was not alone. A figure stood near the edge of the clearing, bathed in soft moonlight. She was tall and slender, with long hair cascading like silk down her back. Her dress shimmered as if woven from the night sky itself, and her eyes glowed faintly, like distant stars. Elenora hesitated, unsure whether to speak, but the woman smiled softly and gestured toward the bed. "Welcome back," the woman said, her voice as gentle as the rustle of leaves. Elenora stepped forward. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice barely louder than a whisper. The woman knelt beside the bed, tracing her hand along the carved wooden frame. "I am the keeper of dreams," she replied. "I watch over this place and the travelers who find their way here." Elenora's eyes widened. "I thought the forest guided people to the bed." The keeper nodded. "It does, but not by accident. The forest hears the quiet hearts of those who are lost, and it sends me to light the way." Elenora glanced at the bed. the memories of her first visit flooding back. Why did it call me here again? The keeper's gaze softened. Because the forest remembers you. You carry its peace, but there is more it wishes to give. Elenora sat carefully on the edge of the bed, the blankets as soft as she remembered. The fireflies danced closer, their golden glow surrounding her like a warm embrace. As she lay back against the pillows, the keeper's voice drifted through the clearing. Tonight, the forest will show you more. Elenora closed her eyes, and once again the dreams came. But this time, they were different. She saw glimpses of others who had found the bed, a weary old man who had forgotten how to hope, a young girl who had lost her way, and a healer who carried the weight of too many souls. Each had come to the bed, and each had left lighter as she had. In her dream, Elenora stood beside the keeper, watching as the forest whispered to those who needed rest. And then she understood. The forest wasn't just a place for weary travelers. It was a place of healing, a gift meant to be shared. When Elenora awoke, the sun was just beginning to rise. The keeper was gone, but Elenora felt her presence lingering like a gentle breeze. As she stood to leave, she paused for a moment beside the bed, her hand resting on the canopy post. "Thank you," she whispered to the forest. And as she stepped back onto the path home, the fireflies lit her way, not because she was lost, but because the forest had chosen her to remember its magic. And Elenora knew that one day, when the time was right, she would return again, not as a traveler in need, but as a keeper of dreams herself.